Last month, the University of San Francisco made an alarming discovery that 93% of Americans tested had traces of a chemical called glyphosate in their urine. Last year, the World Health Organization deemed glyphosate a possible carcinogen. So why is glyphosate everywhere, including inside of us? Because it's the main ingredient in biotech giant Monsanto's flagship product, Roundup, a pesticide sprayed all over almost every acre of food grown. Not only has Roundup been dumped around the world more than any other weed killer in history, but the U.S. is its largest customer. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, a record 280 million pounds were used in 2010 alone, nearly 1 pound of poison for every American. With new revelations of a seemingly urgent health crisis of a cancerous chemical infecting nearly everyone, one would think the company responsible, along with the U.S. government, would take measures to protect people. But in fact, they've done the opposite. Monsanto has already proven it cannot be trusted to care about anything but money, especially when lives are at stake. A quick look at the corporation's scandalous history reveals it as a sinister threat to the planet's ecosystem, economies around the world, as well as the livelihoods and very lives of millions of people. Monsanto was born in America in 1901 by a man named John Francis Queeny. His new company was financed by the blood and sweat of Puerto Rican farm workers when his father-in-law and big sugar merchant, Emmanuel Mendez de Monsanto, used his vast profits to bankroll his dream. During the sugar shortage in World War I, the Monsanto family convinced America the solution was buying its fake sweetener, saccharin. The corporation also blew up with war profits when it was contracted to help with U.S. bomb making. By the time Francis passed down the company to his son, Monsanto was already producing everything from aspirin to sulfuric acid. From its inception, the corporation employed the shadiest of tactics to avert laws that infringed on profits. Founded in St. Louis, Missouri, pesky taxes and regulations led the Monsanto family to drive just 4 miles over the Mississippi River to establish their own town, which they aptly named Monsanto, Illinois. The town of Monsanto had extremely lax regulations and low taxes, and thus became a literal dumping ground for other corporations. The town's head even admitted to the Wall Street Journal that it was created to be a sewer. Today, it's a toxic wasteland. As factories flocked to the tax haven in the 1920s, Monsanto grew the fattest with its production of one of its main products, industrial chemicals called PCBs. The serious toxicity to humans was known and concealed by executives, which would almost cause their downfall decades later. But this was a time of Monsanto's burgeoning rise, and in 1943, an opportunity presented itself that would cement the long and very lucrative relationship between Monsanto and the U.S. war machine. Monsanto head Charles Allen Thomas was called to the Pentagon, not only asked to join the Manhattan Project, but to lead it as its co-director. Thomas put Monsanto's Central Research Department hard to work building the atomic bomb. Fully aware of the implications of the task, the budding chemical empire sealed its relationship with the inner circles of Washington on 2 fateful days in Japan. It wasn't just people thousands of miles away. Monsanto is also responsible for irradiating American citizens by being key participants in human experimentation that tested the effects of radiation on pregnant women and their unborn babies. Nearly 900 pregnant women were fed radioactive iron made by Monsanto. Along with other chemical cohorts, Monsanto produced plane loads of one of the world's first pesticides, DDT, a toxic insecticide blanketed as a solution to malaria-carrying mosquitoes during World War I. After the war, DDT profits surged as it was marketed as a wonder chemical. For the next 30 years, a propaganda campaign assured its safety, despite multiple scientific studies concluding the opposite. DDT devastated bird populations by making their eggs paper-thin, leading to the near extinction of osprey, falcons, pelicans, and ironically, America's national emblem, the bald eagle. Congress didn't tell the public there was any concern while it was cataloging a census of mass fish die-offs. Public pressure forced Congress to ban DDT in 1972, which has since been proven to cause an array of human health effects, from birth defects to cancer. Monsanto's war profiteering carried on to the war on the Vietnamese people, where the biotech titan and the Pentagon would again unite to kill hundreds of thousands of people. It became the military's top producer of a deadly chemical weapon known as Agent Orange, outshining other chemical giants with a concentrated soup 1,000 times more powerful. Agent Orange was so deadly because it was produced at the lowest cost possible, causing an unnecessary byproduct called dioxin, known at the outset to be toxic to human beings. Monsanto and its cohorts in the US government consciously hid the information from the public. Today, a health crisis plagues US veterans as well as hundreds of thousands of innocent Vietnamese with birth defects and cancers. Even the workers who manufacture the deadly soup are stricken with cancer, along with residents in the town of Nitro, where they allege dioxin was carelessly dumped for years. Monsanto wasn't just poisoning Southeast Asia, but globalizing what's considered one of the gravest chemical threats on the planet, PCBs. PCBs are a group of industrial coolants that are widely banned today as a carcinogenic pollutant. For 40 years, Monsanto was the world's largest and America's sole manufacturer of PCBs, which dumped hundreds of thousands of tons of them into the air and land that will poison the environment for decades to come. In Anniston, Alabama, at its main PCB plant, Monsanto routinely trashed toxic PCB waste into the waterbeds and landfills for nearly 4 decades, knowingly poisoning tens of thousands of unsuspecting residents. As reported by the Washington Post, in 1966, Monsanto managers discovered that fish submerged in that creek turned belly up within 10 seconds, spurting blood and shedding skin as if dunked into boiling water. They told no one. In 1969, they found fish in another creek with 7,500 times the legal PCB levels. In 1975, a company study found that PCBs caused tumors in rats. They ordered its conclusion changed from slightly tumorigenic to does not appear to be carcinogenic. Monsanto reacted by concealing the truth, choosing blood-soaked profits over safety yet again. In its own documents responding to PCB concerns, Monsanto heads declared, "We cannot afford to lose $1 of business." In 1979, the EPA banned PCBs due to its link to birth defects, nervous system defects, and cancer. Of course, Monsanto denied the science, and it took the 20,000 victims years to finally get compensation when a jury found Monsanto guilty on 6 counts, including negligence, suppression of the truth, and outrage. Under Alabama law, the rare charge of outrage requires conduct so outrageous in character and extreme in degree as to go beyond all possible bounds of decency, so as to be regarded as atrocious and utterly intolerable in civilized society. The national scandals surrounding Monsanto's willful exposure of millions of people to potentially deadly poisons threaten the company's survival. Branded as a gross polluter and human health danger, Monsanto was desperate to rebrand itself to continue to grow as a business empire. So they hired a consulting firm to give them a facelift called Bain. In 1977, Bain put its new hotshot, Mitt Romney, on the job. Romney emphasized to Monsanto CEOs that they could never shake their association with reckless, deadly chemicals. Instead, they should invest in what wasn't controversial, creating life rather than cancer. He developed new propaganda slogans like "Feeding the World." Under the rebrand, Monsanto liquidated large parts of its chemical manufacturing and began transitioning into an agricultural behemoth. Romney's brilliant plan won him a huge promotion to the head of Bain Capital, the source of his mass wealth today. And for Monsanto, the new chapter in their life as a poisoner of the earth would reach unimaginable heights. In one of their moves to enter the food market, Monsanto staked claim in the diet soda industry to push one of the FDA's most contentious chemicals, aspartame, better known as the artificial sugar in NutraSweet and Equal. In 1985, Monsanto bought GD Searle, the company that patented aspartame, amidst a growing health controversy. The year prior, a grand jury investigation was launched into Searle for covering up the dangers that aspartame causes tumors and holes in the brain. The U.S. attorney that stalled the investigation was then asked to be partner at Searle's law firm. To combat the bad publicity, Searle knew it needed political pull, so it chose Donald Rumsfeld as its new CEO. The partnership paid off big in 1981 when Rumsfeld joined Reagan's administration and handpicked a new FDA commissioner who would play ball, Dr. Arthur Hull Hayes, who quickly lifted the red tape for Searle and flooded aspartame into the market. 2 years later, Hayes sprinted through the revolving door into the seat of Burson Marsteller, the chief lobbying firm for Monsanto. Today, aspartame is in over 6,000 products and grocery stores, due to Monsanto's carrying the torch for the chemical pariah.